Hello.
Hello.
Thank
Happy
you, every
Sunday.
happy Sunday and happy Sunday shift. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Make sure that you like, that you comment, that you subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend about Sunday shift. And if you missed us last week, make sure you check out um, James Lott because we were on the GH mini spotlight with him. And so you can check us out both in the videos and in his like YouTube video. And then also he's on anywhere that you get your podcasts. And so that's where you can catch us talking about GH last week.
Yeah, and that was actually fun.
That was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
Normally,
So,
I don't like to talk to men. So
well, I wouldn't go as far as saying I don't like talking to men, but I am always intrigued or tickled by talking to men about the show because it still just hasn't. I mean, it's there. Like I know that men watch the show and they
mhm.
enjoy it, but it still hasn't quite clicked.
Oh, I didn't even mean
Yeah.
just about the show. I mean, I just
Oh,
don't like to
she don't like talking about men, period.
I
Um,
don't like I really don't care for men's opinions on most things, not just soaps. Like please don't take it just as soaps. I mean everything. Um, only kidding a little bit. Okay, let's move on before I start talking crazy. This is what
before.
happened. I am freshly caffeinated and it's like 1 o'clock our time. I don't know why I had
Hmm.
coffee this late. So I am jittery and on one, maybe two. How was your week, Tanya?
It was a lot. But I don't even want to talk about it. So I want to
Okay.
talk about the shows that I watched instead.
Yo, yo.
I am very much a late comer to, for those who are comic book or cartoon fans, of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I
Oh,
think I watched the movie that it came out and it was not good.
yo, it
So
wasn't good.
I was not inspired at all to look into it. And apparently, so there was the cartoon in the early 2000s on Nickelodeon.
Hmm.
And then there was Netflix did a live action version of it that was
Hmm.
on earlier this year. And so I watched it. I binge watched the whole thing. The first couple of episodes, I was just like, meh. But then it got intriguing and full of drama. And so I finished it last night, and I'm excited to watch the next. They actually signed two or three, season two and
Oh,
season three already, and so I'm excited to see that come out.
yeah. I
Um,
like when you know that it's gonna happen because for me, it's hard to get into a show when I don't know if we're gonna have more.
right.
The other thing I wanted to ask or talk to you about that I think is so funny, and please don't cancel me. I have not watched the new Star Wars yet,
Oh my
but
God, yeah, what I texted you.
I do love that everybody now knows how fine Mancy Jacinto is. He was fine in the good place, but
Oh
now
my
people are like going
God.
nuts for him. And I was like,
Because
he
he is,
deserves.
well, he's got the great facial features, but in this series, he is seriously yoked and he's got some great fencing combat skills,
Mm,
and he's using some new techniques that even the nerds are, um, not the nerds, but the really serious fans
the nerds.
are, the nerds are excited about. Like they keep talking about, oh, he's using the whoop to whoop technique, and with a mix of this technique. I'm not even that much interested in Star Wars that I know the names of fighting techniques and swordplay, but there are people who are talking about him and his swordplay. That is how excited people are about Manny Jacinto. So you, that's why I texted you after I watched the last episode. I was
Yeah.
like, girl, you need to watch this show. And so, yeah, he gives an amazing performance, not just on his sword play and fighting skills, but and I can't, spoil too much, but the acting
Hmm.
was great. So,
See, I knew he would be good because I loved him as a himbo on The
yeah,
Good Place. And again, if you have not, I think I talked about this. If you have not watched The Good Place, watch it. I will not say more about it because you do
right.
not need to hear more. The only thing I will say is that the first few episodes are a little rough, but once you hit the stride, it's so
Yeah.
good. That
Okay.
first season is like one of the best seasons of television. And then like the thing is, as soon as you hit the last episode, you want to go back and watch the first season all over again.
Okay.
So go watch it. It's like really short. It's on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're like very short, bite-sized episodes.
Okay.
And so yeah, you should watch those. I also am like halfway through The Bear. Um, Here's what I'll say about The Bear. That I really love those characters. I think that they are dynamic. I think that the actors are amazing. And like I'm like, it's one of those things where you're like, these actors are so good I could watch them read the phone book. And this season kind of feels like I'm watching them read the phone book.
Mm-mm.
So it's like, you know, like they keep my interest because I've loved them for a couple seasons before, but I'm only halfway through. We'll see what the rest of the episodes are given, but that's where I am on The Bear.
I just want to shout out those glasses right now. I just
Oh,
noticed there. You're like, where? She's wearing white glasses.
yes.
Shout out.
My favorite little glasses place. It's my joy in life to order just glasses after glasses. I'm like, if I gotta wear them, gonna be cute out here.
All right.
And I can see, thankfully. So there you go.
Yeah, that's the point.
Well, let's hop into the week. There's so much to talk about.
Uh-huh.
I'm so excited about Jonathan Jackson returning.
Oh my
I'm not even
gosh.
gonna like sugarcoat or make a spoiler about how excited I was. We talked about it on the
Yeah.
podcast we were on, and I
And you
said I didn't
didn't.
want him back because I thought it would be short term. And he
Right.
said this is gonna be a long term return. So I'm excited. We'll talk more about
Yes.
that.
That's
Um,
exciting.
let's get into standout performance of the week.
So this week we saw the exit of Michael Easton, and I think I had talked about this at the last podcast, or at least the last episode that we did. That we are now seeing peak performance from him, which
Hmm.
is unfortunate. That he has to really display his acting skills when he's on his way out, but he did, and he's one of my performers of the week. And I just also want to shout out Jofia Love. Little girl had me bawling. I was
Weeping.
like weeping. My eyes hurt. And so, shout out to her for having some super heavy scenes and pulling them off fabulously. I also want to shout out Steve Burton.
Oh.
He rarely emotes, but man, he was adamant that Carly not ruin his, I don't want to say game, but basically make it all for nothing, the way he
Hmm.
said. And so he really emoted in that scene. So shout out to him and Laura Wright.
Yeah. Because like
I thought they were very
usually,
emotional.
yeah, usually the purpose of Jason is that he is not emoting. Like he's supposed
Right.
to be stone cold. So we
Yeah.
are seeing this like with him and Danny. I liked those scenes. Like with him and
Yes.
Laura Wright, those scenes were really good. Even like how funny he was with Anna. It's
Right.
just like we're able to see a little bit of that come out,
Yeah.
it's been interesting. I've liked it. I've liked it
I
a lot
feel
actually.
like I feel like Carly is one of the few people that can bring out this emotion in him. I think Sam did too. I think when they were going through one of their breakups, and he was just super pissed at her. I think when she watched Jake get kidnapped.
I
But that
stand
was
by
the one.
her. I still
Yeah,
stand by
no,
Sam
but
for doing
still,
that.
that was the few. That's one of the few times that I can remember that Jason really just going off. And so, but I think in this instance, he's not necessarily pissed at Carly, but afraid for her, wanting her to be safe, and also not wanting her to make what he's done wasteful. And he's really trying to convince her of that. So those are the ones that stood out to me this week. What about you?
I mean, I just think that Michael Easton and Jophia Love this week is their week.
Yeah.
I could not take my eyes away from it.
Mm-hmm.
It was so clear that that was like the characters and the actors saying goodbye to each other.
Yeah.
If you think about Jophia, she's lost both like her on-screen mom and now
Mm-hmm.
her on-screen dad.
Mm-hmm.
She used to spend a lot of time with Finola as Anna. She doesn't do that
Mm-hmm.
anymore. So she's been through a lot of transition for a soap kid. And I just felt like this was a peak performance. It's really unfortunate that they took away the like younger adult category
Mm-hmm.
for the Emmys, because I feel like I have not seen a young person give that kind of performance, especially at her age. Like you said, like I was crying, like
Mm-hmm.
choked up, like oh my, I remember even saying, oh, this is too much.
Right.
Like it's too much, it is too much for me, because like it was hard to watch, and not in a way that was like it was over the top, but like this is too much emotion coming through
Mm-hmm.
for me as a person
Right.
watching this young woman who we've watched grow up. I just cannot say enough good things about her. It was phenomenal,
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal acting between
Right.
the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
You really got the sense of loss between the two of them, and it makes it really hard to think, because I mean we know Finn's not going to be gone for 3 months,
Right.
like it, you know. So it was just like, what are we?
Where do
It
we
was
go
really
from
sad to
here?
do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it was like,
Yeah.
dang, I'm actually now starting to be very interested in Finn when I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't been before, because he hadn't had a storyline.
Right.
And so now I'm like, dang, okay, well, don't take Violet's daddy away. Like,
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was super emotional for both actors, but for Jophiel, I mean, her every scene on General Hospital kind of was with him ever since she's been on the show. And
mhm,
so having him depart like that must have been really difficult um, for her to deal with. So,
mhm.
yeah, but
Well, let's hop more into the storylines. Let's start with Jason and the FBI. So, you know, we had um last week we have Sam and Spinelli kind of figuring things out. So, you know, now Carly knows. Um, First thing I want to talk about was the Sante of it all. When Sam told Dante, Dante was over it. He was like, this is a felony.
you know what you did? You're putting, yeah, she put her own self at risk. She put Spinelli at risk. And now telling Dante she put him at risk.
Mhm.
So he was not, he was not down with this. And I think I'm not surprised because he kept telling her she needed to relax on this, that she needed to, slow down. Yes, what Jason did was pretty bad, but having her, focus so hard on the disappearance and, how it affected her. Like she's saying that it's about Danny and that Danny's going to be devastated. I still feel like it's more about her. And
Mm.
having her focus so much on, Jason's disappearance and leaving is going to destroy her relationship with her son. I mean, for me as a child of divorce, I think my mom made it really important to her that she not say anything bad about my dad, right? And she wanted me to learn on my own and how to navigate that on my own. And so that's what I lean towards when it comes to these kind of relationships. I'm like, you got to let the child discover whatever's wrong with their parent on their own. It's not up to you to point it out to them unless they're abusive, right? I think, but in these instances, and so, you know, I think that's a lesson that I'm hoping Sam is learning after talking to Dante, that she needs to take a step back. I mean, he's not too young that he needs to be shielded from adult behaviors too much. So I think, yeah. And then it was just also great seeing Find Dante on the screen. I had missed him. I know he must have been on vacation or something, but it was just like a missing part of my soul to not see him. But yeah.
I will say, you know, I was saying this if you didn't watch us
Hmm.
last week. I was saying that part of the problem with a lot of these stories is like sequencing and
Right.
storytelling. And I think that, and I say this across the board, that
Mm-hmm.
storytelling is not going well. And if I'm being really honest, like I've taken little mini GH breaks before,
Yeah.
I probably, if we weren't recording the podcast, would be on a GH break, and I probably would come back with JJ because
Mm.
I feel like the stories are not being told, they're not making sense. A lot of my favorite characters are getting caught up in not making sense. Sam sounds ridiculous. Harley sounds ridiculous. Anna sounds a little bit ridiculous. Like all
Hmm.
of the people who I kind of tune in to see, for me, have sounded really ridiculous. So you have Sam being so over the top about Jason, and I actually feel like there was a way to write this that made sense for Sam to feel about Jason.
Right.
And they are not writing that.
Hmm.
It makes sense. Jason, you were just shot at this at the coffee warehouse. I don't want my son around you because danger happens with you. Not
Right.
that you're a danger junkie. I mean, that is one thing, but so is Sam. But
Right. That's the hard part. She's a danger junkie herself.
Sam, you just, and I actually love that part of Sam.
Right.
The part where Sam and Spinelli were at the pool and she was doing her little PI thing. They
Yeah, that
took,
was
they have
brilliant.
written for me, not for everybody, but for me, they have really written Sam into this corner where it's everything is about, I'm so scared of danger, I'm so scared of danger. When
Hmm.
Sam, and it's like about my kids, and that's admirable, and it would be great if we were on like a short term show, if we were on a show that had an end date. But we're not on a show that has an end date. We're on a soap opera. So like the character and the who she was brought in as and the reason she had story, you are now stripping from her and saying, oh my God, no, no, no. And like explaining to us why she's not doing that. And everything you're saying makes sense. Sam as a mother makes sense. Sam as Dante's partner makes sense. All of that makes sense, but then it creates a scenario where every time she steps outside of what she's been preaching, you're like, okay, so what? Just like you started, you were like, okay, you're mad about Jason, but look what you've done to Spinelli. Look what you're doing now. Look what you could be doing to your family. That didn't have to be. That's a writing choice and it's a storytelling choice, and it's not a good one to me. You now have her mad about Danny at the same time that you have Liz pushing like and telling Jason that she hopes that Jake spends time with him. So you have you have them telling two very different stories, knowing how the audience loves Jason. So it puts Sam at this disadvantage because she sounds ridiculous. Even though, like, to me, she's not being ridiculous, she's being a mother. Look, I was like, are
Yeah.
you okay?
I was just
Sorry
like,
for that
wait a
dead
minute,
air horns.
I forgot that I had myself on mute. um yeah, I mean it does. And just juxtapose that her over the top reaction with the great scenes that Jason had with Danny and how they do seem to mesh and he does
Mm-hmm.
seem to admire his dad. And Jason's being somewhat cautious about encouraging Danny's um, instant willingness to do dangerous things. It kind of juxtaposes Sam's fear, and that
Mm-hmm.
also puts her in a disadvantage in this scenario.
Yeah. I also, when I look at like Danny and Jake, especially when you think about like Jason telling Danny about his brain injury and all of
Mm-hmm.
that, it's almost like Jake is Jason Quartermain and
Right.
Danny is Jason Morgan. And
Yeah.
it really is like an interesting brother situation. And I want us to be able to see the two of them interact more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also was kind of speculating. I was like, I wonder if Danny like gets into a motorcycle accident because you saw how he was like really all about the motorcycle and he was all of that,
Yeah.
and we see these like kind of ominous warnings about, if something happens to Danny, it's Carly's fault. If something happens to Danny, Sam won't forgive Jake. Like, we
Right.
see these kind of warnings, and so I feel like they're popping up so much. I do wonder if something happens to Danny.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not like fatal, but like
Right.
something that's like storyline driven, and gives people a lot of material that happens to Danny.
And something that happened that Jake is involved in too.
Give us that
That'd
AJ
be interesting.
Jason.
Yeah. Repeat. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like the stories are not being told in a way that feels interesting to me. So like that might be
Right.
too interesting for the show, if
Right.
I'm
Like
being honest.
we have to watch we have to write the show for them as usual.
Yeah, it's like it's just not. I will also say this about the Jason and Carly thing. So it does feel like, I don't know, they may be kind of toying with Charlie. I'm not a fan of that, but whatever. It because those scenes
Mhm.
between Jason and Carly felt really charged.
Mhm.
Um, I think they're trying to say that, like, look, the sacrifices that Jason made for Carly, but the problem is Jason has always been written as the character that sacrifices everything,
Mhm.
always. And
Mhm.
so it's not very romantic that he did this for Carly, because
It's
he would have done it for Liz, he would have done it for Sam. If Sam was coming under federal investigation right now for what she did,
oh, he would have done
Jason would
it
have
for her.
absorbed that.
Right.
Period. And so, then he would be away for
Mhm. Right.
Sam.
For
Like,
Sam.
if Elizabeth got in trouble right now, we saw back when Elizabeth and Finn couldn't take a pulse, Jason was right there trying to get a body out of a freezer and do whatever for her.
Mhm.
This is who Jason is, and so it's tough for me, as a person who's not a fan of Jason and Carly romance, to like have them try to write this as like this sacrifice means that Jason loves Carly so much, because I don't.
Mm-mm.
That's just not. Jason would do this. Jason would do this for Maxie.
Yeah, and then as far as actually romances for Carla that I am interested in, I don't care. It just seems like the dude in jail seems more promising,
Brennan.
because just because the intrigue and how, like, I think she's excited by him, because she keeps coming back to him, even going for
Yeah.
advice, which is
So stupid.
crazy.
She,
But
what did Brennan tell her that Diane could not have told her?
exactly. But
Now,
like
I
I said,
love the
he's
scenes because I
yeah.
love seeing the two of them together. He's such a flirt.
He is. And he's also honest with her. He's like, "You
Hmm.
shouldn't trust me. I'm
Hmm.
going to use this for the benefit of me."
Yeah.
And she didn't care. She's like, "All right, I'm going to tell you
Let me tell
everything
you
anyway."
everything.
Every single thing. She could have been like, "Yeah, somebody's holding evidence against me. What do you think?" That's all she had to say. She gave up Jason. She gave up the FBI. She gave him
She
everything.
said, "Who here's who, when, where, how, what."
How and she don't even know that it's all the things that he's really interested in. Like, he wants to get rid of Jason. He wants to know who's threatening Pikeman. She gave him everything. He doesn't even need Valentine now.
She keeps giving him everything, but this is
Right.
another thing about Carly is impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
Carly has been, but she has not been silly.
Right.
And this feels silly. No matter how much I love the scene, because I love the two of them together, and I do hope this is right up Carly's alley. This is
Yeah.
like Johnny Zakara plus Todd Manning. Like,
Right.
this is
Franco.
Carly's. Well, we don't talk about that. But this is like perfectly Carly nonsense. So
Yeah.
I'm not mad about her like having a spark or some intrigue with him,
Right.
but it does not sound like Carly to like go tell this man everything. That sounds crazy.
Yeah.
I was not a fan. How were you feeling about Vanna?
Oof. I mean, I'm glad that they had that, lovely scene
Hmm.
together. But I'm not as bought into it because I know she's trying to get she's trying to trick him. So it's not like it wasn't as romantic to me as previous scenes were. But I liked it. I mean, you know, um Valentine's definitely in love and he's definitely smitten. And he wanted that night to happen, and that was great. I thought the scenes were funny in that how Maxie interrupted everything and Jason's like stalking outside of the window. That was hilarious.
And
But
then the next day, he
the
like
next
caught that
day,
eye, he caught that eyebrow at her, like, so what's tea, girlfriend?
right? So that was funny. But it's always good to see Vanna together and in scenes together. Um, I don't know what's going to happen with it. It's still kind of up in the air to me, like whether or not she's going to actually catch him. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's weird. But then I'm also over this whole Pikeman business in a sense. This is a very long, drawn out kind of mystery, and it's kind of getting to the point, like towards the tail end of Uncle Victor. Like we were just like, come on, whatever the secret is, just let it out,
Yeah.
resolve it. Even though loved Charles Shaughnessy, wanted him on the screen, but it was kind of too long and drawn out. So this is how I'm feeling about Pikeman altogether and the mystery.
It was not it wasn't the story is falling flat for me.
Right.
Um Vanna's chemistry is the thing that like carries them. We don't have any Valentine point of view. Like we hear him like on his like apparently his satellite phone, like talking about Sonny's meds, but we don't get the why he's doing this, the like what he gets out of it, um, if he's setting Anna up or not. Um, it just feels weird. Like so we have Anna being like, I know that Valentine like wouldn't do this to me, or I know Valentine, but we need to hear Valentine say that.
Right.
Otherwise, Anna just sounds like she's like kind of digmatized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
and we know Anna will love a not shit dude. You know what I mean? Like I met Anna on All My Children. She was with David Hayward. That relationship was hot and a mess. So I'm not above shipping Anna with a hot mess of a relationship. But I do think that the story needs to be more completely told, and it's just not being. But I'll take seeing Vanna together. Again, their chemistry is like palpable. Like it carries the story. I think if you had
Right.
another couple that whose chemistry was not what this is, I wouldn't even want to see it. But the way the two of them just kind of cat and mouse each other, I also was like, Anna, you're not being quiet.
I
Like, how can
know.
he
Like, how can he not understand that she was searching his house?
I'm assuming that he does understand
Right.
that.
Or maybe he doesn't care. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, because that again, like she was like, why wasn't he more attuned to the fact that Jason was practically in in his driveway? I was like,
Well, he was
how come he
busy.
didn't? Yeah.
I get why he didn't know. But even like just hearing her like rattle around the house, like
Mhm.
yelling, "Hey, Valentine, do you need any help?" Rattle, rattle, rattle. Valentine, do you need any help? Rattle, rattle. Like, what is going on? It's so loud. Where is the
Right.
spying?
Right. And how come he doesn't have video surveillance throughout his whole house?
Right.
So that's what I consider. I mean, yeah, he was busy, but I'm surprised he doesn't have surveillance around his house or
Well, he
something.
might. He
Yeah,
might.
something
That's like
that
the
gives him
piece.
the clue of somebody's watching him. And yeah, maybe again. So maybe those are scenes coming up later where we like, yeah. So I had Anna. He's talking to Brennan in prison. He's like, yeah, I had Anna over and we had a great night, but also she was snooping, and Jason was outside my house.
Right.
Something. Because right now we don't have any indication that he's aware of what Anna's doing. And then, like you said, we don't have any indication that he's actually trying to frame her. So,
Or that he's not.
or he's not. So,
I also think this is like a matter of like if this was gonna be your umbrella story, then actually make it your umbrella story. Like, okay, so we had this scene where, to your point, there should be cameras. So how about having it so that Spinelli is also involved knocking out the camera feed? How about we have it where, okay, now Anna's told you where things are, Jason, like Anna, like invites him out, and then him and Spinelli like go get in the house, like something. Because if this is gonna be your umbrella story, it has not been umbrellaing the way it needs to.
I think it would have been hilarious if we saw a scene of Valentine in the kitchen cooking and watching Anna search his house on his camera.
Yes. Or like seeing it like go out and like kind of
Right,
smirking. Because like
right.
the two of them, that has been the way that their relationship has worked.
Yeah,
It has been intriguing that they both know when the other is up to something. If you
right.
remember, like the drive-in date that they had where
Mm-hmm.
Anna knew he was hiding something and he knew and they knew, like
Eh.
it's never been them completely tricking each other. It's both of them like staring at the side of their eyes at the other one and
Mm.
choosing to still get down because the chemistry is the chemistry. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. So that would
Uh
have been that would have actually intrigued me a lot more.
yeah. Um I what else do I have? Oh, I love Spinelli standing up for Carly's honor when he went to her office and then she was like, he whatever. And he's like, did Agent Cates try something with you? Spinelli, what was you about to do? I loved it. I really enjoyed that. And then
Hmm.
the Carly and Jagger scenes.
Oh my god.
She's so crazy. She was like talking to Spinelli like, I wish he would have tried something. I would have stabbed him.
Yeah, she looked
Carly.
like she was about to stab him, and it was crazy to me that he didn't see through that.
Yeah. Also,
Like,
my little petty pickup. I was like, why are they having champagne in these wine glasses?
ah,
Please ignore me. We live close enough to Napa where that bothered me.
wow, you are that much of an expert where I didn't even pick up on it. I was just like, oh, okay. They're
I'm
having a
like,
bottle. I was like having a bottle of wine, but I remember he did say champagne.
I'm like, the Metro Court is a high quality, high roller hotel. Where are the champagne flutes? Anyway, um, let's talk about Finn's exit.
Oh my gosh, heartrending. So yeah, I was well. I was expecting the way they were so scared about it. I really was expecting him to actually go and try to barge into the Quartermains and take the kid, but because they were just so paranoid about it. But he ended up, I guess, having his low point. Oh, I had made like a comment, a note about when he called the liquor store and asked for some more liquor. He's like, I need a handle of this. I was like, a handle? Is that a new alcohol term that I need to be using?
No, it's like a
No, I
you
know
know.
what it means, a
Oh,
handle, but he called it a handle when he was actually just referring to a full bottle, right?
I don't know because I was like when I saw it, I was like, this isn't a handle.
So I don't know, because I was like, handle. So a handle refers to a full bottle of vodka or whatever. But I thought it was interesting. But anyway, he didn't drink it. He threw it against the wall, which was really kind of a mess. Um, but I was thinking, who's going to clean that up? But he, hit his low point, and then he finally decided to go and speak to his dad, and that's where he ran into Chase. I thought those scenes were pretty poignant, except the pacing was a little off to me because he goes and he sees Chase there and yells at him, and then in the next scene, they're sitting down together on the bench, and I was just like, wait a minute, I feel like I'm missing another argument where and then they decide to sit down. But yeah, but it was definitely very emotional and very heartrending for me. But I was glad that he was able, like Michael Easton was able to go out with strong notes and hopefully some Emmy reels to
For
go with
sure,
it.
some Emmy reels.
Yes.
And I will say, I think that's the like interesting thing to me when like folks get like, how does GH win all these Emmys or whatever? It's because I mean, just people say that, and I don't watch the other shows. I know that you've watched the other shows and you talked about
Hmm.
like some of the other drama. I know
Hmm.
Tara, friend of the show, Port Misery, has talked
Yeah.
a lot about how good Y&R is.
Yeah.
I think it's because GH when it's on and when it's good, it's freaking good. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like if you submit those like scenes with Michael Easton and with Joe Fiel, you would have no understanding of other parts of the show that are not high quality.
Right.
You actually wouldn't even understand how low quality this storyline was. Because again, sorry for people who are listening, my word of the day is storytelling.
Yeah.
This story was not told in a way that made sense to me. It was not told in a way that made Chase in Brooklyn look good to me. I understand they must have been trying to rush through it and they had like some kind of like deadline to get him out or whatever it was, this idea that like y'all were trying to take his kid when he had like a drink. What are we doing here?
Mhm.
Like it just is like a series of baby snatching all over Port Charles. And for me, with like this, what happened that 90 days, dude had like a drink, a bender for a weekend, and now we got to go away from 90 days. It's going to turn into something else. What do you mean AA isn't going to work? When has he tried AA during this bender?
He didn't. He didn't go to any
He
meetings.
didn't go to any meetings.
So,
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I understand that like Violet shouldn't have been around for that. I understand that like whatever, but I have not seen, you have not shown me that 90 days impatient. Do you know what that means? Like, y'all have not shown me that he has done enough. And it would have been different again if we would have had a situation where he got behind the wheel with Violet. If he,
Hmm.
like, if there would have been something that showed me that he was, yeah, he was out of control. Yeah, he was messed up, but like, we got to get a restraining order. Didn't we like have the propaganda of him thanking Chase for getting a restraining order against him? It just, for me, the performances of the two actors who were kind of front and center deserved more than this story because I did not think
Right.
the story was good. And again,
Right.
I understand, and there's a difference, I think, because sometimes I come on here, I do this with Trina, like, it's a difference between understanding what they're trying to do and
Hmm.
enjoying what they're trying to do.
Right.
Like, I
'Cause-
get why you did it. I get what you did. It wasn't good.
Right.
Like,
And it was like a matter of okay, let us get through this story so we can get to the end point because we know that Michael's leaving.
right.
So for me, it was more like watching just a transition, not like
Mm-hmm.
a oh my god, this is a huge story and they're banking on it and they're really writing it well. It was more like okay, so I just see how far they're gonna go and what it was it gonna take for him to finally exit out of the show. And
Mm-hmm.
not to say that I wanted him to exit. Well, it's not that I wanted him to exit. It's more that I wanted his stories to be better, and I did not want him with Elizabeth. That was
Mm-hmm.
what I was looking for.
It
Not
was
him
telling,
actually, yeah, not him actually leaving.
it was telling
Uh,
that he didn't even say bye to Elizabeth, or that
right.
Elizabeth is actually Violet's guardian, but somehow she is now. I what did I call her? I called her Violet Chilin Quartermain now. Like what?
Yeah, it was very interesting that, and that they were having so many more scenes of I mean, Brooklyn and Chase. They were like really trying to throw them in front of us to get us to actually, I don't know about like them more or get used to them being more front center, but it was too much for me. I was like, I'm seeing way too many scenes of Brooklyn and Chase right now.
Over somebody?
Talking about, right,
Yeah.
talking about taking somebody's kid and feeling some kind of way about it. And I was just like, why? We could have had those scenes with Elizabeth. And it started me thinking outside of that. It was like, how do the powers that be make the decision on who's going to be front burner or who's going to be put, in the back burner? Because I'd be thinking if I don't know how Michael Easton is feeling about being let go in order to bring in another actor. But I'm wondering if he was thinking, well, they could have let some other actors go. Why me? And so I'm thinking, who are some other actors on the show what I could really do without, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And it wasn't necessarily Michael Easton. I just did not want him with Elizabeth, you know?
I mean, I think that this also goes back to what I always talk about when I talk about like strong family roots,
Right.
and we'll talk more about this when it comes to Black characters. But like, they've just disappeared the Chase family.
Hmm.
I mean, like, essentially, Harrison Chase is now a Quartermain.
Right.
Like, and then you got rid of the dad, you got rid of Finn. It's very easy to get rid of a whole family. It really
Hmm.
is.
Hmm.
And that's why when you don't have them front and center, and that's why when you don't create story that like reverberates across the canvas, and when you don't create connections that put people front and center, it's really, really easy to get rid of them.
Hmm.
Like for me, I would notice, but if they got rid of Jordan and Portia tomorrow, then what would happen?
Unfortunately, not a lot because
Unfortunately, not a lot.
they're not part of front burner story.
Yeah. So like seeing how it was so easy to just erase the Chase family really showed me like, oh, okay, well, this is why we have to fight for black characters across the board to have better story.
Hmm.
Um, I was gonna say what made me laugh, to be quite honest, was that Finn was down so bad that even Scott was like, no, I'm not taking this
Right?
case.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare that Scott would turn down a case. But you see, again, the writing is on the wall.
Hmm.
Everybody had to, some way, shape, or the other, fit into this narrative and support this narrative that Finn was so down that no one could defend his behavior. Not even
Hmm.
Scott, who will see dollar signs above anything else. Like he
Yeah.
could have, because Finn laid it out for him. He's just like, here's an opportunity. You can win money because they took my winnings and then they fired me and then all this other stuff. And he was not, and Scott was not moved, which is definitely out of character.
And it was two separate instances throughout the show. This is also going backwards. For Diane to come on, that I thought she was gonna like say something different. So
Right.
I thought that Diane was gonna tell Carly, for example, they really didn't have anything on her because what do you
Uh-huh.
mean you went to a meeting
Right.
and said something? That sounds ridiculous. Like I could say right now, I'm the head of the Corinthos organization. Are you gonna come arrest me? Like what are you talking about? That sounds crazy. You did
Yeah.
not see her do anything illegal, but say that she was the head of the organization. What are we like? That sounds. And I thought Diane was going to say that. Obviously, that's not what
She
happened.
almost said it. She's like,
Yeah,
"Did you actually money launder? Did
right.
you do any of this? Do they have evidence of that?" And she was like, "No."
And then I
And then
thought she was
she,
going to be like over, and then
okay,
she,
well then it's over. But no,
right.
she was like, "Yeah, you got a 30% chance." I was like,
And then the other piece, I thought Diane was going to come in this store and be like, y'all can't take this man's kid. You don't have enough.
right.
Like, what do you mean? Anyway,
Yeah, I
I,
mean, Stella was like, well, I guess Stella at first she was like, you got to build a case, but it sounded to me like she was saying there isn't enough right now. You
yeah, I think
know?
that that's what they wanted us to hear that and then see
Right.
Tracy's pictures and think, oh, that's the case.
That's the case. Yeah. They were
Yeah.
building up to that. Warming us up.
It just again like Violet was not in enough danger for this restraining order. Like it just anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to another baby snatching storyline, the surrogacy story.
Oh gosh.
Christina.
She's really 100% trying to take this baby and she's not really giving good reasoning, especially now that we saw Molly and TJ make up. So everything that she's afraid of, everyone else has told her it was just a fight. They'll get over it. It does not mean that they're going to break up. But in Christina's mind, it's like they never fight. So that means I need to prepare myself to take this job. It's crazy, but it's predictable. We all knew it was going to happen. Either one or two things was going to happen. Unfortunately, she would lose the baby or she would take the baby. But I think the reasoning that she's trying to take the baby is very spurious. Like, I feel like there should have been something more,
Right.
something more significant.
The word of the day, say it with me,
Story.
storytelling. This was a stupid story for a lot of reasons. I have so much to say about the story because it pissed me off so bad. Mostly because I'm like, how dare you try to use TJ as like some breeder and take his baby? What do you mean that you'll take custody? You're not even saying that you would like share custody with TJ.
Right.
This is his baby too. You do not have more rights to this baby than TJ does.
Exactly.
TJ is a doctor. TJ is an upstanding member of society. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason for you to believe that you will get full custody over TJ because who the hell are you?
And even though, we are thinking that TJ's overreacting or not overreacting or just being very weird as a father, um, any judge would see what he's been doing as something that a father would do, protecting their child against a known mobster who's violent.
and who you're not gonna stay away from.
Right. So,
And I thought that whole thing was stupid. I thought TJ had no right. All of
right.
those things. They didn't give him the connection because the connection could have been Sonny. My uncle was shot because of Sonny. Sonny
Mm-hmm.
is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
You are always around Sonny. He
Right.
still would have been wrong for trying to like police her, but it would have made more sense. But
Yeah.
what would have made even more sense, because like we have Molly now being like, I think Christina's gonna try to keep the baby. You have not seen any incidents of that happening. The story they should have been telling instead of like, but that's because they put Sunny in everything.
Yeah.
As much as people want to say that Carly gets inserted in everything, Sunny gets inserted in everything, everything. So as much as people want to say, like, as much as that happened, Sonny shouldn't even necessarily been a part of this story. He could have been a petty part that TJ threw in, but the
Mm-hmm.
story really should have been Christina was looping them out of doctor's appointments. Christina, like, it should not have been about how Christina was living her life. It should
Mm-hmm.
have been about how Christina was with their baby,
Right.
that Christina was making decisions, that Christina, like, we didn't get that. I think we got the one thing where she wanted like the ultrasound or something like that, but we never got anything else. If
Mm-hmm.
she would have gone to the hospital after she got into it with Sunny and they didn't know about it and TJ had to hear from somebody else, that would have been better. But what you're telling me now looks ridiculous, and it makes Christina look ridiculous, and it looks terrible for you to pretend like TJ. I can read between the lines. You're basically saying TJ's a horrible person.
Mm-hmm.
TJ, who has not done anything but
Right.
be
Concerned.
upstand concerned and upstanding, and
Right.
like we have not seen bad from TJ.
Right.
We have not seen that. Even the apology was like, I'm sorry, I was wrong for these things. All the things that we have been complaining about TJ doing, he apologized for.
And it's not like he is engaged in behavior that would make her alarm bells come. Like he's not like showing up at her doctor's appointments. He's not showing up at her house, making sure that buying her food or being all up in her business. He's not doing any of that. He had
Mm-hmm.
a conversation with his partner. That is it. And so for her to be overly freaked out about this again is unwarranted.
And for her to be like, TJ and Molly never fight, you actually don't know. You
Exactly.
don't know what happens
You're
with their
not
house.
with them every
And they
24/7.
did. They fought when Molly slept with Brando, actually. like,
Oh yeah.
but
Hello, that was huge.
like, so now your sister, because then you're like, oh, they can break up anytime. Yeah, anybody could. So now
Right.
you're in this situation where you're essentially policing their relationship, and your sister can't even confide in you when she's tired of her man.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. They
And
could
to the
be.
point where she's talking to Blaze like, well, would you want to raise this baby together? So which one is it, Christina? Are you taking the baby for Molly? Or are you taking the baby for you?
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Blaze was like, yeah, actually no. I
Listen,
like talking about it, I like fantasizing about it, but no, I'm not trying to raise somebody
no,
else's baby.
right. I I was just put off by it. I
Mm-hmm.
thought the way they threw TJ under the bus was disgusting. I think the way that Christina is treating TJ is disgusting. And then you couple that with now her daddy trying to take a baby too. It's just everybody baby snatching around here.
Mm-hmm. Why did I? No, never mind.
I don't know. I was really put off. Um, so what do you think about Sunny and homophobic Maria Santos? I can't remember her name at this point.
It
Blaze and Christina, like that whole, and then going off on Ava. What did you think about that?
um yeah, I think it's interesting that homophobic Maria Santos and then Sunny are getting together. I mean, I think they look good together.
Sure.
Because Ava LaRue is fantastic.
She looks
Um,
amazing. That
she is
that
amazing.
jumpsuit was crazy good.
Right. It was awesome. But I don't know, maybe he can soften her. I don't know. I'm still a little concerned that she doesn't feel some kind of way about hooking up with a gangster. Because she seems so strict and so conservative. And that fact that she apparently doesn't feel any kind of way about it, it seems weird to me. Um, I'm still kind of, but then at the same time, I'm still kind of hoping that she had a previous relationship with Alcazar, and that explains why she doesn't
Mm,
care. But on the other hand, it again, but a lot of people talk about, well, it's weird that the parents are dating each other, but on the other hand, there's all kinds of interfamily relationships going on in that show with, you know, Christina and her brother and sister dating each other. So it's just weird. Maybe she's just
mm-hmm.
not red flagging any of this enough. What made it interesting was inserting Ava into the mix. That was interesting to me. Again, I also have to give a shout out to Maura West and Sunny
So
because that
good.
scene was like amazing, and I actually laughed with Sunny. And this is behavior that is not acceptable at all. But when he slammed the door in her face, I was like, oh my God, this is not acceptable. But I just giggled a little bit. But
It
I
was
feel
very
like
sunny.
it was very Sunny. But at the same time, I'm really curious if she's going to use the fact that his meds are being tampered with, or is she just going to say, he's acting crazy and he doesn't deserve my child? I feel like they're kind of letting go the fact that she knows about the meds, and I'm wondering what they're going to do with it. Um,
Yeah.
and
I feel like it's
she's
gotta come up. I do feel
yeah,
like it's
she's
gotta
going
come
to
up.
try to use it against him in the custody fight in some way,
Yeah,
and
particularly because Valentine knows. I don't think she could. I think she's gonna use erratic behavior, but I don't think she's
right,
gonna.
yeah, and that's
Or
interesting.
Valentine knows that she knows, rather.
Does she? Oh yeah, Valentine knows that she knows, but she hasn't talked to Valentine about it.
Right. Or at least not
So,
that we've seen.
right. But those scenes together, Laura West and Maurice Bernard, they were amazing as well. I couldn't keep my eyes off because I just wondered. I mean, she was calling him out about his faults, and just it was good. They're always great
Yeah.
scenes together. So,
Yeah. I love it when Mora gets in that deep voice pocket.
oh yeah,
Oh, so good. That's when you know she's
hmm,
getting serious.
right,
Um,
and threatening.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was all interesting. I do wonder if homophobic Maria Santos has anything to do with Pikeman. That would
Ooh,
be interesting. Um, because like how she's getting close to Sunny, and to your point, like not caring he's a mob boss, all of these
right.
things. I do wonder if that, she is from Puerto Rico. Like,
Hmm.
I'm interested to know if that is a thing. I don't think that Blaze is in on it, but I do wonder.
If she is, yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, I think that for me is all really fascinating to like think about. The other thing that we know is that Perez Hilton is supposed to be coming into GH for something as himself. Now, I know that when they first announced Perez Hilton, I was one of the main people in the comments like, no, thank you. Because y'all don't get to put out this statement about like, we're a safe place, we don't like bullying, racism, blah 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 blah, as General Hospital, and then invite over the head bullier and the head race baiter in the head. Like Perez Hilton used to out people in his website.
Hmm.
I remember everything
Oh
he's ever
no.
said about Britney Spears. Young celebrities used to be scared to like be out and about because they were scared he was going to report on them. He is a menace. Even when people in the comments were, because I know I made a comment like as myself in the General Hospital Instagram and was like, no, thank you. People in the comments were like, no, no, no. He was going through and liking all of the hate comments. I'm not interested in Perez Hilton being there. But we
So then it
haven't.
makes me wonder, like, why is he going to be on there? Is he going to
So,
do something with the couple, with
so
Blaze and Christina?
I'm wondering. My thought is that maybe Ava feeds him the audio that she has of homophobic Maria Santos being homophobic,
Oh yeah.
and then that blows up and then outs Blaze at the same time.
Oh wow.
because that would be in his bag, to be quite
Yes,
honest.
it would. And unfortunately, Ava's proven herself to be snitching on folks.
Yeah, so I'm interested in seeing how that's gonna work out.
Mm,
I also will say I was a little frustrated at Trina being like scared. Like, I don't know, like at her being like, oh, she's looking at Ava differently. Sunny, I get that, like, I get the story that's being told, but Sunny is trying to take Avery from her.
hmm.
What do you think Ava's supposed to be doing?
I also didn't like the fact that she was. I mean, yes, we want more story for Trina, and we want her to have her own life. But I didn't like the fact that she was inserted into this.
Yeah,
Like,
it
it
didn't make
really didn't make
sense.
sense to me that Ava would send Trina over to Sunny's house, knowing how volatile he is, and whatever
Off
mood
his
that he is in.
meds.
Off his meds, his mood could be really crazy, and she put her in a situation that could have been potentially dangerous to her, and so that seemed out of character, and I didn't like it. Um, so yeah, that was my immediate comment. It was like, why is Trina the one picking up whatever? Like Ava could have asked
Hmm.
anybody, could have asked
One of the
like a
guards.
deliverer or
Right.
somebody, you
Yeah.
know.
It
So
it also is like fascinating because I there's a sneak peek that ABC dropped,
uh-huh.
and it was Ava for next week. Ava talking to Trina and asking her, "Tell me everything that Joss has ever said about Sunny."
Mm,
Well, first of all, that doesn't make any sense, and also Ava, anything that Joss knows, you know,
exactly. The
Sunny is not
bad
a
that what
stranger to
she
you.
should be doing is being like, hey, Joss, he's trying to take away my child. Would you speak up for me? I think Joss would be perversely interested in doing that.
I
Instead of
don't
putting
think
Trina.
so.
You don't think so?
No, no. She hates Ava, and I think she probably would rather have Avery with Sunny.
Because they did have a somewhat of a relationship when she saved her life. And so
And
it was
she
more
invited her
easy.
over for a
Yeah.
holiday.
Yeah. But I think she hates Sunny more than she hates Ava, or I don't know. Well, actually, no, because Morgan.
Because of
I forgot
Morgan.
about
Yeah.
Morgan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's a whole mess. Surrogacy story a mess. Sunny versus Ava a mess. Trina seeing this other side of Ava. I just don't see it. I also loved Ava being cheap on Geo. And the violin playing. I will also say this. I know that you are not into Trina and Geo, aka Trio. If they're gonna do that again, this is another example of understanding the story, not
Mm-hmm.
liking it.
Mm-hmm.
um I think that they are nervous about the way that Sprina fans specifically
Right.
will take on to like Trina's new love interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it seems to me that they are doing is like trying to make sure that he is not like what they did with Rory, which is
Right.
like Rory's only function was that he was like in Trina's life. Nobody cared about him outside of that. And that was a big point of contention when people
Mm-hmm.
really just meant they didn't want her with anybody but Spencer, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fine. But I think that's like the point of like when people give feedback or when the network takes feedback, that actually isn't really the feedback. Like people just wanted her with Spencer, like, and that
Right.
was perfectly fine. Like I don't
Yeah.
like this guy. Like there's all like and naming the reasons he sucks, but that doesn't mean that people wanted to see this opposite. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think that what they're doing with Geo is being like, look how connected he is. Look how he like fits into other places, and now we're gonna like slide him in with Trina. Again, I understand what they're doing. It's not good, particularly because he's sharing all these things with Jocelyn and not with Trina.
Right.
Like that's not why are we doing this? It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Even that scene where they had like Trina kind of standing in the background while the two of them were talking, I didn't even understand what they were doing. I think maybe she was supposed to be trying to contemplate on like what was happening with Ava and like be concerned about it. It didn't look good. It looked very bad to have like the black girl in the background while two other people were talking. We've already seen this story with Trina before, to be quite honest. Um, I still think it's pretty obvious to me that they're like trying to do Trina and Geo, and trying to use Jocelyn as like the barrier or like the bridge between them because Trina like is gonna feel guilt about liking somebody else and whatever
Mm-hmm.
else around because of Spencer.
Right.
Um, It's still not, they're still not telling a good story. It's still not good. It's still very, very bad. And they need to fix it.
Yeah, because I'm still not convinced. I think
And how could you be? They're not
I'm not
telling like
convinced. They're not telling any kind of. They're not showing him going out of his way to try to court Trina,
right.
even though she said I would. There's ways that he can try to insert himself into her world without actually flirting with her, and he's not doing enough of that. I think
Hmm.
you're right. He's has way too many scenes with Jocelyn right now.
I
So
will say that the vibe I get between him and Jocelyn is not romantic. It's very sibling. Um, I don't see him. Yeah, I it's just not written well. And
right.
I understand what they're trying to do. That doesn't excuse it and it doesn't make
Hmm.
it good. I
Hmm.
think they're trying to tiptoe around putting them together because you also don't have to, when we got Sprina introduced, it was instant, right? It was
Hmm.
like he came on and he was on Trina's body. Okay.
Right.
Like he was there. And
Right.
I think they're trying to like do something a little bit different, maybe like a friends to lovers kind of situation with them. It still isn't working and it's
Yeah.
not good. And when you have her coming off of a relationship that y'all have invested so much in, you can't tell this story in this way. Because now, especially with Spencer being like not dead, you aren't giving a compelling anything or beginning for this other couple. So everybody's still waiting around for like a recast Spencer.
Hmm.
It's not good.
Nope.
And she deserves a better story.
What if Lucky brings Spencer back?
A recast Spencer
Yeah. What if he's like, oh, I was,
in Paris.
spelunking in Paris and I went across the lake and I found Spencer and now I'm bringing him back, Mama.
I mean, I don't
I
think
don't
that's
know.
gonna happen. That feels
I know.
Delulu to me, but I'm part of like the Delulu hive. I don't know if you know that about Beyonce. Like when people are just like delusional, like she shut her left leg, that means that there's a left turn coming up with the album. Like that's like Delulu hive. I'm fine with
Right.
people
Yeah.
being Delulu hive for GH.
I know it sounds really crazy, but it would be like, oh my God, Spencer's back now and Lucky. I don't know.
Where there's been more delusional things that have happened in the past. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I'm not gonna stop you from being Delulu. I won't stop it. I'll also say, when it comes to like Trina, I know that there has been like, very little conversation actually makes it to me because I don't follow anything, but like every
Uh-huh.
once in a while it will. And so I have seen like a little bit of conversation peeking up about her family and why she's not around her family. And I think that's extremely valid. I
Right.
think, but here's the other thing I will say. I have not seen a lot of people fighting. That's not fair because I don't see enough. I don't know if the show understood how much the audience cares about Black family. And I
Mm-hmm.
say that because just like I talked about like the Chase family disappearing, it means nothing to disappear a Black family to them. We've
Mm-hmm.
seen them disappear Black families. And we talked about this a little bit with YNR a couple weeks ago. The reason like Devin and Lily and whoever else from that family has story is because they are a strong family unit. Trina does not come from a strong family unit. And so they have to build that out. It
Yeah.
is really unfortunate that they did not bring Taggart back for a story for Trina after Spencer died.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a way to like show Trina grieving, but also show her have a strong family unit, like that has like story. Even even the stuff with Hat Daddy, Trina wasn't even a part of it.
Right. And where's Hat Daddy now?
I think he went down to recurring, even though he's like won an Emmy. So you are not telling you're not telling good story for Portia and Curtis. You're telling a surrogacy story for TJ without TJ in it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a problem. And it's a problem with Black people, it's a problem with any diverse background of people. And again, I understand you got a limited budget and so y'all are making these decisions and that's still not okay. It's still not okay to like have black people cast into the background. It's still not okay to not be telling full story. But I think that it's really important for me to say that Trina can, again and again, Trina cannot get story if the whole black family hasn't gotten story. I think it was a problem before even I thought when Springer was getting together, we were gonna get a Ashford versus Cassadine showdown.
Oh yeah, that would have been interesting too.
That's what they felt like they were setting up. But
Mm-hmm.
because Trina or because Portia was standing in between Sprina, all of the fans from everywhere were going in on Portia. So it impacted what people with the I think what the powers that be thought Portia's popularity was.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody always loves, and we love them too. So like but it's like Treva. So we have all these scenes with Trina and Ava, but we end up not having scenes with Trina and Portia because that didn't feel like a fan demand. So now I do think it's important to make the fan demand, well, we're demanding at least, is that they do more to build out the black family. To me.
Yeah, I've always wanted Taggart back. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I always felt like it was definitely a disservice. And if they need to come back and say that Curtis isn't actually
Oh, I would love
Trina's
it.
dad, I would love that. Um, but yeah, to your point, GH does need to have more story for the black characters altogether. I mean, if I'm looking at Y&R probably has a similar budget, but and they still have clear storylines for their black family, even
Mm-hmm.
if there's not a lot of them. There's like maybe 3 or 4, but they're still like frontline story. Equal,
Mm-hmm.
at least as equal as the other story. So it's like weird that GH doesn't seem to be able to pull that off.
Or interested in pulling it off.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? We
right.
got Jordan. How Jordan, Tanisha Harper is just like otherworldly fine.
Yeah.
Why is she not partnered?
Because I mean, the risk is that they're going to lose these great actors to the Gateway and CBS,
The Gates.
the Gates, whatever.
I mean, I love Portia, but if Brooke went to the Gates, I would not be mad about it.
Mm-mm.
Like, what are we talking about? Not only is she amazing, but she's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Not only is she's amazing, she's
she's amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
Like this is like a vet.
Yeah.
People who don't watch GH, if they saw that Brooke was attached, they would remember her from Passions. Like, and they would deserve to lose every good actor. Robert Gossett, what is it, 3-time Emmy? What is this? Yeah, 2-time Emmy winner. Take him. Bye. I love Hat Daddy now. We didn't love him at first. I love Hat Daddy now. I think he's
Yeah.
amazing.
We didn't love him because they didn't write for him well. We didn't know what
Mhm.
he was doing and why.
Yep.
And they still have, again, I want to know why he hates Sunny so much. They still haven't talked about it.
Right.
I want to
And the
know about
mob.
his mob background
Why
because
he
he
had them
clearly has
hands.
something.
Why he had
Right.
them hands on Joey Novak Jr.
Exactly.
He whooped his ass.
What is up with that? He's not just a jazz musician. He's got a background. I want to know what.
Exactly. And they don't do that. They don't do the due diligence, and it's really
Right.
unfortunate.
This quote unquote romance that could have happened between Unstella and Hat Daddy dropped.
Dropped. Yeah. I mean,
Why? Why put us
again,
through that?
again, if all of the talented black folks from GH go to the Gates, it would be GH's fault. Because it's, they are not being used. They're not telling good story. They are not being appreciated. You mean you put Taj on contract to do what? Get out of here.
He ain't got to be with Molly. He could be out there having the time of his life,
Break
sleeping
them
around
up.
with all the single women on that show.
Break them up. Um, the other thing I got is what is going on with Jex? Are they back together? Are they? I
You
don't get
know,
it.
I like the scenes that they had. I thought, Dex is very good at being a romantic.
Yeah.
He is very good at that. He's adorable. And, when he's flirting with Joss, I'm like, you know what? This is a cool dude. So, I mean, he asked, what could it take to get us back to where we were? And then she kind of deflected. And I'm like, dude, if you forgive him, get back together with this man. He clearly wants to be with you. I don't get it.
I think Jex is cute. I never really talked a whole lot about them. I mean, there's a whole nother Jex podcast that like dives into them if you're interested in that. Um, but I always liked them. I just
Mm-hmm.
never was compelled by their story. I think that they have really great chemistry. I actually think their chemistry post breakup is even better because I love a heart
Right.
eye situation. And I thought they had great chemistry to begin with. From the moment that they met, even when she was still with Cam, I was like, "Ooh, this is a problem."
Right.
Like, so I've always thought they had great chemistry. Um, but like the courting, because we didn't get that with them in the first place,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Right.
in the first place it was like a little bit of guilt and a little bit of like it was all danger and look, we had to save people's lives and look, you had to save your life.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like it was like reluctant because she was like with Cam, and
Mm-hmm.
then Cam found out and it was like guilt, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
then they were together. So now we're getting a little bit of like the courting phase that we didn't get before. And a lot of times, for me as a viewer, that's my favorite part of the relationship, or one of my favorite parts of the relationship. So I'm really enjoying seeing this. But just get together, just be together,
Mm-hmm.
and then also figure out what y'all are doing with this young adult scene. Have Even if Trina and Gio are not together, let's see the four of them doing something. Go do some axe throwing. Trina don't mix Rory. You can go ahead and bring her back. It don't matter. Like, joke here. Um, like, let's see them doing something that's interesting. Give them a mystery. Bring
Mm-hmm.
them into the Pikeman story.
Oh
Something,
yeah.
something.
Definitely.
Um, do something. But yeah, I do like Jex. Like I said, I just don't talk about them a whole lot because I was never particularly compelled by the fact that they were just like kind of part of Stunny's story.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always thought they were really cute, and I have always enjoyed seeing them. Um, so let's get that going. Just having like unnecessarily not together for what?
I mean, even if they don't want them to get right back to where they were, I mean, she could be like, yeah, let's continue dating or something. Just be instead of being coy about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love just like a dating situation,
Right.
and then eventually back together. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. I also think that like just some of the most natural scenes, because they seem to all be friends for real, are like the Jex Trina scenes. They're so funny, like her playing the
Mm-hmm.
matchmaker for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I will say that Trina needs to be doing more than that. So let's be clear. Um, oh, the last thing I have is back is back. Yay.
Yay.
Your fave Cody. Maybe we're gonna get to that story and figure it out.
I really has no reason at this point not to tell Mac.
Yeah. I also
Really.
thought it was really interesting that Mac was with Frisco. Don't bring his ass back. I am not interested
Uh,
at all.
I mean, why would they bring him back? Like, what would he do?
No clue. Don't bring him back. Um, Tell Mac, let's move this story along. Let's get
Mm-hmm.
into hot takes because connected, we do know Jonathan Jackson is coming back. JJ as Lucky.
Yes.
I'm really excited. I've always loved Lucky. Um, I've always loved JJ's Lucky particularly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they're going to explain him being the deadbeat dad that he is because my God. Um,
I
I do.
mean, Jake had so much smoke for Jason. Man, there's gonna be so much to talk about with Lucky coming back. I mean, they have
Mhm.
no excuse not to go in on him at all.
Yes. particularly with Aiden and yeah,
Hmm.
everything. I do hope we get a arc. Maybe William comes back for a couple episodes and
Ooh,
like
yeah.
gets to cuss him out, and then maybe play guitar together. You know, that's been a long time hope of mine. William Lipton, come on
Yes.
home. We need you for a few episodes so that you
Just a
can
few.
meet. You're not dad.
Right.
Lucky. Like
It's almost
Jonathan Jackson's lucky.
like William is following in Jonathan Jackson's footsteps
Yeah,
almost. Yeah.
yeah, yes. I just really, I want to see them on screen together really bad.
Oh,
And
agreed.
then the other thing I'm wondering is if JJ is part of something with the WSB, or Lucky could be part of something with the WSB as an explanation for why he was gone.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just excited about all the interactions that he's going to have. And I was listening to, I mean, you had shared with me the podcast with Steve Burton.
Yeah,
And I was listening to the podcast and I totally forgot how soft spoken he is.
yeah. My
You know?
little, my little poet. Uh,
Yeah. Because
like,
look, that
yeah.
scene with Elizabeth still rings in my head. And I'm like, yeah, Lucky is actually kind of not, as aggressive as that one scene portrays him as. Um,
Yeah, I know a lot of people who don't like Lucky always talk about him being a crybaby. You bring your crybaby self home. I miss you. Bring them tears.
Bring the tears.
Bring those tears. I'm gonna cry with you, Lucky.
Yeah, because he can be inserted in so many storylines. Like we talked about it on the
Hmm.
other podcast, but I mean, he's got Laura, he's got Sam, he's got, the kids and Liz. And is he going to be a cop? Is he not going to be a cop? How is he going to relate to all of that? And
That's why I said
everything,
the WSB thing.
right. And then he, like Jonathan Jackson talked about on the podcast, he's like, he doesn't even know what he doesn't know. There's so much has changed,
Hmm.
right? So that he has to react to. So that will be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to know like what are the throwaway things. I want to see his reaction to Sam being with Dante because he was tight with Dante. And then we
Yeah.
had Lou Sam. So this Lucky was never with Sam, but like they did have a scene where they kind of like brought up their past.
Uh-huh.
I don't even think I would want to see this Lucky ever, like, or not now at all, but like back in the
Right.
day, I never wanted to. Greg Vaughn was like Hot Lucky, and
Yeah.
Hot Lucky with Sam was like, but I was never interested in like Jonathan Jackson with Sam.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I just wasn't interested in it. But am interested in seeing his like reaction. Um, I'm interested in seeing his reaction to um Lulu being sleep, keep her sleep. Um,
Unless a certain actress takes over. I think I would be interested in seeing Julie Berman back in that role, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
I mean, I never liked Lulu, but if it's
Uh,
gonna be a Lulu, like please let it be that one. Don't bring back that
yeah.
other one because that was not good. Um, yeah, I'm just interested in seeing what's gonna happen.
And
Um,
then he talked about how he's interested in bringing Lucky back that has grown, that has had a lot of adult experiences that he can
mhm,
take back. Because, part of me also felt like Jonathan Jackson Lucky as the kind of young adult Jonathan Jackson. I've never seen Jonathan Jackson play kind of like a mature adult Lucky. So that'll be an interesting dynamic because he has to play it
yeah,
a little bit different than he's done in the past.
yeah. I
Hmm.
do hope, I mean, I don't want him paired with Jordan, but I do hope that like I'm thinking about some like storyline for him and Jordan, something they're working on together, because I would give her
Hmm.
time to be in the front burner. I do
Hmm.
hope, he does not have connection to a lot of the black folks on screen, but if
Hmm.
we're gonna bring him back, just like we brought Steve back, Steve didn't really have connection with any of the black people or people
Hmm.
of color in general, anyone of a diverse like background. I do hope that that's different for Lucky. Like if you're gonna
Hmm.
have a big return, I want to see some of Black Hospital attached to that return.
Hmm. Yeah, who would they pair him with?
Probably Liz, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. But I hope it's not like a simple, like, oh, love at first sight thing. It has to be really long and drawn out because she went through some things with that man.
She did, and she put that man through some things.
Things, yes, they both been through some things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then, reaction to Nicholas being in jail. Spencer gone. All the
Mhm.
things.
I mean, Lucky didn't really know Spencer, but yeah,
No. Yeah.
like, which is sad because like
Right.
Spencer was named after their family, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
And then when? They said sometime this summer. It's already July.
it is. But GH goes dark, and or like they don't record in July most of the time. I think they're on vacation in July,
Okay.
so I
Probably
don't know
not
if
till
he's
like
already
six.
there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. He did say see you soon, so it doesn't sound like he's already there. Well, I don't know when they recorded the podcast either.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got. Do you have anything else? Oh! I did want to say something about. I forgot. That Carly and Jason's conversation made my head spin. She was like, "I get it, but I don't get it." Like,
He's like, yeah, I get it. And at first I agreed, but now I'm going to change my mind. He's like, no, you can't change your mind.
anyway, I just wanted to say that that was in my hot takes. Was one thing I didn't say. Anything else before we get into preview for next week?
No.
Okay. Monday, Ava plays dirty. Joss comforts Trina. Nina does some eavesdropping. Alexis makes a big move. Jordan shares intel with Drew. Tuesday, Ava tries to cover her tracks. Blaze is crushed. Sunny meets with Diane. Christina and Alexis have a heart to heart. Natalia is in the hot seat. That makes me
Ooh.
think maybe that
Yeah.
is when that, yeah,
The recording.
yeah. Wednesday, Alexis is confrontational. Joss gets upsetting news. Natalia confides in Sunny. Sasha provides perspective. Maxie steps up for a friend.
What friend?
Thursday, who knows? Thursday, the 4th of July, repeat episode. And then finally, Friday, Dante tries to talk Sunny down. Christina unleashes her anger. Maxie and Brooklyn strategize. Trina and Joss move into their new home. Nina updates Drew. Not a whole lot I'm interested in next week, but
Well, not at all.
we will see if there are some things that are being held back.
Right.
That'll be interesting.
Okay.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you so much for listening, especially if you made it to the end. Please make sure that you like, you share, you comment, you subscribe. Um, yeah, we really
Yeah.
appreciate you. And
Yeah.
we will see
Thanks for
you
following.
next week.